What's up guys, and welcome to my channel, Jessie Tries It. Today we're going to be doing a cherry chocolate cake, and this recipe was originally by Let the Baking Begin, and I'm going to link her recipe down in the description box below. If you hear any noise today, that is my little DJ. Alright, let's get to it. Get yourself about a 16-ounce jar of cherries. You'll need some Bacardi Gold liquor, some sugar, mason jar, and of course you'll need a sieve. So the first step that we're going to be doing is to sieve all the juices out of your cherries. Thank heavens that was easy to open. Okay, now we're just going to pour the cherries into the sieve. Lots of nice juices. Okay, I'm just gonna shake it up a little bit. Take our mason jar. Scoop them in like so. Alright, just FYI, you can start this process literally a couple of weeks before you decide to make the cake. The longer that the cherries sit in the alcohol and the juices and the sugar, the better the flavor will be. But you can still start this a couple of hours before you make the cake if this was a last minute decision. But a couple of weeks or several days would still be better for the flavor. Alright, so using my little funnel, I'm going to go ahead and re-add the juice until it covers the cherries. That's enough, and we still have some reserved. Go ahead and save that. Now we're going to add our Bacardi. And it opens pretty easily, thank goodness. Just smell this, I've never smelled this before. That's strong. Okay, now we're going to add half a cup, and I'm just going to go ahead and measure this out to be precise. Wonderful. Now we're just going to add this into the funnel. There we go. Easy does it. Okay. And now we're going to go ahead and add half a cup of sugar. More or less. Okay. Okay. Now I'm going to take my spoon and just stir it up a little bit. Make sure everything's dissolving. The smell of cherries is so fragrant. There you go. Now, everything's dissolved. Now I'm going to cover this up and let it sit until I'm ready to use it. Okay, so for the next part we're going to be doing the chocolate sponge cake. And this is a recipe that we're going to have to double. So with a trigger release mold, you want to make sure it's not going to leak. So just as an extra precaution, you can take some tin foil and just hold that around the bottom of the pan. Alright, so for our dry ingredients for the cake, we went ahead and added 1.5 cups of all-purpose flour. And now we're going to add half a cup of cocoa powder. Just go ahead and measure that out. And sift it, because I don't want any chunks. Look at all those chunks. Ugh. Okay, so we went ahead and we added 3 teaspoons of baking powder, and that's it. That is all your dry ingredients. Okay, for this recipe we're going to need 4 tablespoons of unsalted butter, and I'm going to go ahead and nuke this in the microwave to make it all nice and melted. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and add our 8 eggs to this bowl. Then we're going to add a pinch of salt. Okay, we're going to beat the eggs until foamy. This is as good as I'm gonna get, like manually mixing. So, all right, I'm gonna add in the dry ingredients. Okay, now comes the fun part. I'm gonna add this in to our cake pan. Oh, it looks gorgeous. It's chocolate goodness. Okay, now we're going to take this and put it in the oven that we preheated to 350 degrees, and this should be in there for about 25 minutes. Somebody woke up from a nap. Say hi. Hi world. I woke up. Okay, the cake is done. It looks gorgeous. It's not very tall, but it will do nicely. So while the cake has been cooling off, I've been making dulce de leche, I think that's what it's called, and I made myself a coffee. So this dulce de leche is basically for the filling inside the cake, and it's really important. I didn't have any dulce de leche at home, so I had to make my own. So basically how I did it was I took 2 14-ounce cans of evaporated milk or sweetened condensed milk. I can't remember which one it is. I'll link the recipe to this dulce de leche in my description below. I basically took that, put it in a pan, put it inside another pan, put water in that, and then preheated my oven to 425 degrees and had that in there for 45 minutes. And it was just perfect. Actually, this brown at the top just started to happen, like right at the 45-minute mark. So thankfully nothing burned yet, but it's kind of got like a thick skin on the top. So stir, stir, stir it up, stir, stir, stir. Oh, that is not, I don't know, is that dulce de leche? It's very thick. I don't know what I used. I don't know if it was evaporated milk or not. Okay, so use evaporated milk. I must have used sweetened condensed milk or something like that. This is very thick. But you know, so it's like a pudding consistency, where I think dulce de leche is probably a little bit more runny, and it's like caramely looking all the way through. But I'm gonna use this anyway because I'm sure it's gonna be absolutely delicious, and it's still soft and thick, which is definitely what I want for the center of my cake. So this will work quite nicely, I think. Now that the cake is cooled off, it's still just a little bit warm on the inside, but I'm gonna go ahead and give this a go. I'm gonna cut a very thin top layer off the cake. Now you're supposed to do a top layer and a bottom layer, but my cake is not that tall, so I'm just gonna do a top layer and leave the bottom on. Okay, so I'll just go here. Hopefully I won't regret this. I say this every time I make cake. It's just, you know, becomes your baby. You worked really hard on it, and you just don't want to be the one to break it. Okay, so minimize all things out of the way. There we go. So far, this cake is doing really well. I'm really liking this sponge cake recipe. It tastes honestly a lot more eggy to me. I did sneak a little sample. Okay. Looks like I'm cutting above my cut. Just a little bit here. Yeah. There we go. The moment of truth. Oh, I'm so scared, guys. I just want this to work. Okay, a little bit more under here. Now we did good. The sponge cake is very spongy and it is holding its own. Yes! Yes! Oh, this is a glorious moment. We did it! Okay, and now is the easier part, which is just hollowing out the middle so we can put our wonderful dulce de leche filling in there. And we're definitely leaving the bottom on this because it's very shallow. Yeah, see how it's like thicker, a little bit more crusty on the outside? That gives you a nice strong rim to fill in. Ooh, that kind of rhymes. Oops, sounds like I cut through a little bit. Now, it's probably a lot easier if you can cut the bottom off to get the center out, but you know, we can still do it. Yeah, you can hear that. It's very spongy. It's a beautiful, beautiful cake. And with all things like art and baking and cooking, it gets better every time you do it. So I think that this cake looks terrific compared to my other cakes. But I guarantee you the next time I make another cake, it's going to look even better than this one. So that's one of the fun things that I love about baking, is something you can perfect. Okay. Being careful not to take the bottom of the cake with us, and it's okay to just crumple it up because we are using this for our filling. And it is glorious. Okay, this is as much as I'm going to do because I do not want to break through. I can always remove a little bit more cake when I'm ready to fill. Okay, so for our cake filling, we're going to go ahead and add 8 ounces of room temperature unsalted butter, and we're going to cream that up. Okay, now we're going to add in our dulce de leche, and we're going to just add a little bit at a time, beating it in as we go. Now we're going to add in our cake crumbles. Start with that, mix it all in. Oh, and let's add in some of our rum cherry juice. There we go. Okay, and now let's get some cherries. Okay, now we're gonna combine all of this. Okay, here comes the fun part. We are going to assemble our cake. So the first thing we're gonna do is we are going to take frosting, and I went ahead and gave myself some grace today and bought some frosting. I'm just gonna use chocolate because it just goes with the theme. Smells amazing. Just gonna have a thin layer here. Just kind of patch up the holes, if you will. Okay, we have a thin layer. It's not completely even, but it patched up some of the holes, so now we should be good to add filling. Okay, let's start with that. I'm just gonna move this around. Oh yeah, this is gonna be incredible. Okay, we can add a little bit more. Let's see, my cake is scooted a little bit. There we go. I'm gonna put a little bit on the side so that I can stick the top half on. I have this chocolate bar. It's dark chocolate with cranberries inside of it. You don't have to be so fancy, you can just get a regular chocolate bar of any kind of chocolate that you prefer. But I have a lot of this on hand, so I'm just going to go ahead and use it. And it's really delicious. Normally I don't like dark chocolate, but this is actually a sweeter dark chocolate, so I really like this brand. Just gonna shave off some chocolate. Here, I'm gonna break this. There we go. This will be easier. Get some shavings going here. Okay, and now we're gonna put the top of our cake on. Okay, now we're going to be making our shiny chocolate ganache. We're going to add about a little less than half a cup of heavy whipping cream. Make sure that your bowl is microwavable. Now we're going to add half a cup of semi-sweet chocolate chips. You could also use a high quality baker's chocolate bar. Okay, now I'm just going to pop this in the microwave and heat it up in small increments until I see the chocolate starting to dissolve, and then we're just going to let it sit and melt before we start to whisk it. Okay, so I heated this in the microwave for 2 increments of 35 seconds and then 1 increment of 20 seconds. And it looks like the chocolate is starting to melt, so I'm going to go ahead and start stirring it up. Oh yeah, the chocolate just breaks up easily. It's really hot. You can see that. Yes. And you can always pop it back in the microwave to keep things heated. But yeah, we're turning into a nice ganache here. Yes. 3 tablespoons of corn syrup. The one I'm using is corn syrup light. So I don't know if it's any more healthy, but I'll just believe that it is. So 3 tablespoons of corn syrup. This is going to give us that glossy look. Corn syrup in here, that's totally fine. Your ganache will still be very tasty, but it will not maintain that glossy look after being refrigerated, that is what the corn syrup is for. Okay, so we're going to hopefully pick up our cake without breaking it, transfer it to perfect. Okay. Okay. Now that our ganache is somewhat cooled down and it's thicker, I'm going to go ahead and pour this over the top. Alright guys, that is it. This is the final product. Hope you guys have a great day and good luck baking.